Choice may be the word that people use when they talk about abortion, but that is not the choice this story is about. This is about the choice that parents are being offered to take their children out of public school and enroll them in a private school free of charge. Tuition paid in full from tax money earmarked for the public schools. This is one choice President Bush is for. Public school educators, on the other hand, are dead set against it. The issue is being put to the test right now in Milwaukee, a city where the public schools do just about as bad a job of educating kids as any place else in America. Under the Milwaukee plan, now being challenged in the courts there, 1,000 low-income inner-city students are given a choice. Continue to go to a crowded inner-city school or start fresh in a private school at the taxpayer's expense. Urban Day is the largest of 6 private elementary schools that are taking part in Milwaukee's choice plan. It has a virtually all-black student body, where 3/4 of the kids' parents pay their own tuition, and where 1 of 4 youngsters is a choice student, their tuition paid for by the state. How many come from 2-parent families? 1, 2, 3, 4, about maybe almost half. You're mostly from the inner city?
Yes.
A lot of drugs around?
Yes. Yes.
Violence?
Yes.
All of that?
Yes.
But in spite of all that, students here test above the national average. And Urban Day officials say almost all of them graduate from high school and most of them go on to higher education.
Here, the teachers take time out of their schedule to teach you and take time to let you figure it out and everything.
Are the classes smaller here?
Yeah, a lot smaller than public school.
Private schools and choice schools tend to have more, they care more about the students in public schools. A lot of public school teachers don't really put forth the effort and the time to sit down with the student and the parent, find out what the problem is and work with it.
Urban Day kids wear uniforms, they walk single file in the halls, they clean up after themselves. And in the classroom, they get individual attention and a curriculum that emphasizes African-American culture and history. And who is behind the Milwaukee Choice Plan? Polly Williams, a Wisconsin state legislator. But before she was a legislator, she was a welfare mother of 4.
This parental choice program was a program that was needed for children that right now needs were not being addressed in the public schools.
Last year, she beat back tough opposition to get the choice plan passed into law. It's an experiment, she says, the only program in the country that takes money away from the public schools to pay for private school tuition. $2,500 for each student each year. Polly Williams insists the choice is absolutely necessary because Milwaukee's public schools are doing such a bad job.
They have not done a good job at all. 60% of the kids who enter school do not complete. And of the 40%, and of those who stay in and walk across the stage and get that certificate of attendance, 40% of them can't even read the certificate. Only 10% of the kids who walk across the stage can read and write. Only 10%.
Okay, why? Why this big dropout rate and why can't
because
kids read?
There's something is wrong with that system.
What is it?
That, if I knew, I would probably be the superintendent. But one thing I can tell you is not because the kids are poor, and it's not because they don't have a father at home, as people are saying. It's not because they are black and they be living in the inner city. Because if that's the case, then you have indicted all 4 of my kids. You said that all 4 of my children are supposed to be failures now because they came out of those.
You were a welfare mother.
I'm one of those lower social, economically, deprived persons. That's what you're looking at right now.
I thank God for the choice program.
Jeanette Williams is unemployed, a single mother who was lucky enough to get her 8-year-old son into the choice program at Urban Day.
You got to give the children something to get motivated by. And I don't think that it's happening with the Milwaukee public school system.
The Shacklefords feel the same way about the Milwaukee public school system for their 2 youngsters.
My child was kicked out of school every other week. He would have been expelled and not had the opportunity to go to school without this program.
Richard Collins hates choice. He is president of the State Teachers Union, and his union has filed a lawsuit to kill the choice program. You make $80,000 a year as the head of the teachers union. Your own teachers make $30,000 a year. These teachers make half that or less, and they seem to have inspired something here.
that I would think that you would want to come down here and take a good look at.
Well, I think that we're comparing apples and oranges here. We really are.
Tell me.
Well, I came through Urban Day today. I didn't see one child who was handicapped. I didn't see any children with exceptional educational needs that I see in all the public schools in this state.
Collins worries that the private choice schools like Urban Day will attract only the most motivated students and parents, leaving the public schools as a dumping ground for the unruly and the difficult to educate.
We are opposed to taking money from the underfunded public schools, putting them into private schools, and then saying it's going to be better for everybody. There's no proof of that. If we're talking about change, we need radical change in the public schools in order to improve things. There's no proposal for that.
All you do is talk about it, the educational establishment.
That's not true. That's not true. Our organization has been advocating change for years, but we're told over and over again, no, they'll cost too much.
Lori Wynn of the NAACP in Milwaukee is also dead set against choice.
I'm against the public schools being as terrible as they are and choice being sold as a panacea when the other kids are educationally dying.
No one is suggesting this is a panacea. All they're saying is it's an alternative to take a look at.
Mike, they are saying it's a panacea because they're not coming up with anything else. This was their answer to the problems in Milwaukee.
This is a sleeping pill for disaster.
It's a way of them saying, now we've done something, now we can wash our hands, we don't have to do anything else, give this time to work. And that's rubbish.
When are we going to do something about what happens with the masses of children in this city? If you just say that 1% of these kids grew to be defined successful, educated citizens, the question is that all that America can expect from urban education of the children?
But Polly Williams complains that with all of the taxpayer money going to Milwaukee's public schools, $600 million a year, $6,000 per student, the public schools still are not getting the job done.
Why is it that $6,000 per child is not enough money for you to figure out a program to educate those children? That's the question that needs to be asked, not about us, because we are doing tremendously well for a third of the cost and with a 98% graduation rate as opposed to a 60% or 90% failure rate in public schools. Think about it, exact opposite.
Polly Williams' crusade for choice has catapulted her into a most unusual alliance. This liberal Democrat, who twice ran Jesse Jackson's Wisconsin presidential campaigns, is allied with those who have long advocated using public school money to pay for private school education. The Conservative Heritage Foundation, Delaware's Republican Governor Pete DuPont, even the Republican President of the United States.
My God, God will strike you dead if you're black and you associate with Republicans.
And what does she think about some of the people opposed to choice?
What do you think of Ted Kennedy? White, liberal, Democrat. Good man?
I really don't spend a lot of time thinking about him at all.
He opposes choice.
Hey, not for himself, though. I bet you all of his kids go to private schools. So, you know, I kind of question these people whose children are safely in these nice schools talking about what they don't want for poor people.
Is it just that they don't want choice for poor people? Is it just that cynical?
That's the way I interpret it.
Then why isn't Jesse Jackson for choice? All his kids are in private schools.
Exactly. I don't understand people taking positions against people like myself who want the same thing for my children that they want for theirs.
Why is the NAACP against choice?
Well, because the NAACP is for integration.
Aren't you?
No.
I see.
I'm for education.
And you know what?
And we want our children educated, and once they're educated, integration follows.
Is it going to be negative or is it going to be positive?
Sister Mary Vaughn is the 8th grade science and math teacher at Urban Day. She has taught here since 1969, when Urban Day used to be a Catholic school, long before choice came along. She believes that while schools like Urban Day are not the sole answer to the problems plaguing big city education, they are one model for the public schools to follow. While the Milwaukee public schools graduate students with grade averages as low as 1.5 or D, Sister Mary says Urban Day doesn't work that way. For example, Larry, whom you met earlier, will be repeating the 8th grade this year.
After the last report card and speaking with his mother and trying during the year to get Larry's skills to where they should be, we decided that the best thing for him would be to repeat 8th grade. He could go somewhere else.
But he's the most articulate kid in the room.
He has that gift, and so he does not have to work on that. but it doesn't help to be able to speak well and not to do the groundwork for it.
You feel that way yourself?
Yes, I feel like that. It's very emotional. Sometimes I had to fight back the tears because I know that come graduation, I won't be walking across the stage with people that I've been with for several years, more than 2, 3, 4 years, because I've been with these people so long. And I'm not ready to accept the fact that because I was lazier during the year, that I won't be walking across the stage with the people.
Excuse me.
I suppose if he were to go to a public school, they would pass him on.
Yes, they would. If he wanted to graduate with a 1.5, he probably could make it, but that's not good enough.
And you agree with that, Larry?
Yeah, I agree with what she said. That makes me so mad when people say, well, you can just go to public school and skip on to 9th grade. I want to come back here because I'm determined not to be a fool. And when I'm ready to go on to college and things, I don't want to be the one who graduated from the 8th grade with a 1.5 or a 1.2. I want the 3-point, maybe the 4-point, go as high as I can.
The Wisconsin State Supreme Court is expected to rule on the legality of the Milwaukee Choice Plan sometime in the next month. Meantime, President Bush has proposed spending $230 million on choice experiments.